Hey, thanks so much for stopping by, everyone. My name is Bruce Schwartz. I study in ufology. I've caught a lot of live UFO footage. This is infrared. We see different sizes of lights in the sky of Montreal all the time, crossing paths and changing directions. We're going to do some comparisons with some objects hitting the sun or going by the sun, going by the moon. This looks like an elongated object, and it really impresses me. Seeing this go by, you literally see, it's like, those dog ropes with two knots at the end that you throw your dog? That's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at an elongated object that is swiveling, is rounding itself around. We're seeing shapes and forms as it's traveling through the sky. And for me, the research is incredible. This is what's incredible, doing this, finding these things. And here's that object going down to hit the moon when India crashed into the moon right around the same time. Now, it does look like that object I just showed you that was swiveling around. In reality, there's objects of many different shapes, forms, and sizes in the moon that are, some are broken, whether it be crafts or just pieces of debris from other dimensions or interstellar space. We have no idea. It is just beyond freaking interesting. Look at the explosions on the moon. If we saw explosions like that here on Earth, resonating all over the place, we've seen this before. Theoretically, that looks like a war. If we were overhead and driving by in a plane and you'd see those explosions on the ground, you would say there's a war on the surface. But the fact that it's the moon, people are skeptical. Is there really fire on the moon? Well, I don't know. They're talking about the water now on the moon. Water does have to do with atmosphere, right? So it's coming. It's definitely coming. When Buzz Aldrin, once he moves on, our friend, after his long life, well, I think things will be coming out and very, very different. Can any trolls try and convince me that this is natural? Guys, you're wasting your breath. There's so many shapes and forms on the surface without having to tamper the surface to see the very truth. Right? Lots to see today. I'm hyped. I'm in a good mood. I want to go back to see that object I got by the sun that many people have been talking to me again this week that really appreciated it. Well, let's go back, right? This is a rare event capturing a large object, UFO or planetoid, going by the sun. But take note. Look at the way it appears in the video. How does it appear beside the sun? How are we seeing it? It's doing a circular motion. As you can see, it comes in from downwards, out back, comes sort of in towards the sun, really close into the corona, literally, and then goes back out on that circular trajectory. It's exciting. Let's see it again one more time. There, it's coming in. And we see it go towards the corona and the sun itself. My goodness. Very, very close, the black hole in the center. And then we see it leaving off. That's incredible. Area 51. Yes, it's a crater, but no, it's not a lunar crater. And you see all the dust and sand and everything that fell back down around it. This was an impact crater during the 60s, 70s, I guess 60s, where they were experimenting with nuclear bombs. Look it up online. There are hundreds of areas in different countries that the states did their testing in waters and oceans and deserts on land, and this is one of them. So what's the difference with the bloody craters that are on the moon? I'm seeing a lot of channels starting to repeat what I was saying. These holes are done overhead. There's no cone-shaped craters. There's nothing coming in sideways. It's overhead drop. This was an overhead drop. So when we look at craters and we see them this way, they're probably, well, theoretically could be overhead drops too, could they not? This is an Area 51 big bomb blast where they had set up houses. Those of you who've seen the old videos, set up wood houses, set up aluminum houses. They were houses that were painted. Some houses were not painted, and they were doing tests on the bomb blast. Yes, to see how powerful it was. This, an unknown object beside the sun. Incredible. Look at the sun flaring. That's what you're seeing all around the sun. A disturbance like I've never seen before. But the planetoid-sized object that is beside it is not circular. It's probably not a planet, but it's planet-sized. It could be plasma that was ejected from the sun, theoretically, right? It was right when the solar down happened and those coronal mass ejections were talked about in space that occurred, beside the sun. It was even mentioned, you could look them up, the coronal mass ejections, end of 218 to beginning of 219, to see the massive flare that came up out of the sun, and plasma leaving the sun, because I also have a video where I caught plasma leaving the sun. I literally filmed that in 2018 with my own camera. So do you understand what's going on in this image? Look at the two objects coming in, one further and one coming in closer, right behind the other. Many of them were coming in past the sun. And look at the bar that's going across the sun. It looks like a cross up and down. That is a long bar of light, because there was so much energy and activity going on around the sun at that moment. It's hard to understand these images, but I remember. So for many, it's a small smudge going by the sun that's just nothing very important. Nah, guys and gals, I don't know about you guys and gals, but when you do the research and look to see how big Earth is beside the sun, this is a lot bigger than Earth. And again, look at those objects coming in from literally interstellar space, outside of the solar system. And what happens is when objects come into the solar system, Oumuamua, and all of them, they do go by the sun. That is the first place they're going to go by, because they're attracted by the energy of the sun once they enter the solar system. So not too long ago, they started talking about, look at the cloud in front of that planet-sized object. When I say planet-sized, listen, Earth would be nowhere that big, obviously, but now it depends if it's crossing beside the sun or if it's actually near the sun. That we may not know, but it doesn't matter. Asteroids, meteors, all over. Look at this. Here's a trail of smoke behind it leaving the sun, some debris, and quite a few pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, obviously breaking up as it's going by the sun. So I don't know how many thousands of objects, like 30,000 objects or 35,000, I don't remember how much they said, were out there. That's, not even counting the satellites and everything out there. It's pretty crazy. Objects being seen. So only twice, I say only once, that I saw a shape of a ship or craft, but no, because I keep forgetting this one at the end to the right there that I'll show real quick that you'll all remember. Looks like NASA's symbol, right? But in reality, it's an object, right? Some people say a pair of pants, space pants hanging up on a clothesline in the sky beside the sun, not even moving. Here's that object beside. You can look, there's the sun. You could see it's agitated, right? I have a filter to take away the haze and everything, so we could actually see a little bit of the object, and quite simply, whether it's plasma or a planetoid or something going by the sun, asteroid or meteor, I don't know. It is pretty big, and there was a lot of talk on the news about it at the moment that this object was captured by myself. They were talking about huge CMEs, coronal mass ejections, coming out of the sun just before they told us the sun was going to slow down. This is right beside the sun, as close as I can. It may even be some pixelation for you all. There's a lot of flaring that was occurring on the sun beginning 219 to the end of 218, just before they declared that solar down. That's what I meant by the moon cooling down, basically. So there's a beautiful object literally going right by the sun. And there's a difference. If you want to know if objects are bugs or not, I'm going to show you some examples of understanding how to analyze yourself, what you're looking at. So here's an object going by, and of course there's always that cloud form or shape that we see around the objects, probably most likely due to a different wavelength if the object itself is in space. But look here, for example. This is way back in 217. Look at the object, how it will go further away and not just go by in the screen. You see it going further out. I've showed all these proofs to be able to show you. See there, you see it arriving on that side, and you see it leaving and getting smaller on that side. Often when the bug goes by, it remains the same size in front of the screen and just travels across. So it's ways of being able to try to find out, between bum fake videos and real videos. Surface of the moon. There's a lot of construction on the moon that I believe. I'm going to show you some, without a doubt, inevitably proof, right? Inevitable proof that there are structures on the moon. These are craters, so they say. We're going to look at them with different simple exposure adjustments and filtering. For example, we're going to go to an inversion, have a green filter up, quite simply. Zoom up really close. Now watch carefully. These are all the structures or objects that from far are just glowing. When you bring down the exposure, you can see the difference. Now, the clearest I could ever get. Now look at a dark object. It's not a shadow, it's a structure, it's something else. Look here. Looking closely, we can see two different types of materials. One very reflective, one actually not reflective. It's very dark. So hard to distinguish the shadows, and sometimes mixed up for shadows are these dark objects. And that's what I believe. Look carefully. You could literally see a different piece right here and right here of the two dark objects inside. All the secrets on the moon are right there for everyone to find out. The lines, archaeologists should be all over this, right? Like saying, let's go to the moon, let's go and excavate, let's go see if was actually life. I've had an archaeologist's opinion, and he told me he was dumbfounded, didn't know what to say. He said, there's definitely, of course, something up there, and probably worth investigating. UFOs? It's that they're in the haze, right? So it's very hard to see. Right here where we are, it's Hyginus crater. Almost hard to see the V shape right over top there. And this is one of three UFOs that I've caught and showed flying over top of certain craters. Here we're inside of Mare Serenitatis, Bessel crater just at the bottom, not very far, and this mysterious elongated dark object traveling across the surface. Hard to see, I agree. Of course it's hard to see, but those are the signs that there is something up there. We're not going to see everything perfectly clear. It's not a movie I'm making. It's, we're looking at some truth of unknown objects on the surface. So, hey, Crawlface, Death Star or not, there's someone up there, that's for sure. But I like Crawlface mentioned this a couple days ago in the video. In reality, people are staying stuck on theories. That's what I think, right? We can enjoy and appreciate the theories, but don't stay stuck on one given theory. If it wasn't for my amazing community, this channel wouldn't even exist. Thanks a whole bunch, everyone. I really appreciate it. Slow disclosure is in progress. More information will be coming. A lot more.
This is Houston. Say again, please.